Welcome back to the channel. It's been a long time since I've posted any model car stuff, and to those of you that have subscribed and have been wanting to see that stuff, I apologize profusely. But it's been a busy year, and I try to do the model car stuff over the winter time when it's crappy weather outside and can't do anything else. And it's been raining the last couple of days, so I'm going to be completing a car here shortly. But in the meantime, I wanted to cover something that's been bugging me for a long time, and that's painting and the paint for model cars and what you should be using or what you might want to consider using. So I'm going to go through this a little bit here and give you my personal opinion on what works and what doesn't. All right, so the common brand that you're going to find in most hobby shops is going to be good old Testors. And there's two different grades of Testors paint. There's the regular Testors paint colors that we've all been using since the 1970s when we were growing up. A bunch of basic colors, you know, yellow, red, blue, two shades, you know, that kind of thing. And it was okay back in the day, but, you know, it wasn't great. So then Testors came out with this Model Master line, and this example here says lacquer, which is one option. I don't even know if they still make the lacquer, but most of them are enamel. Either or, doesn't really matter. Model Master was supposed to be a higher quality paint than the cheap stuff, and they charged accordingly for it. And the price on this was $6.29 when I bought it, and it's probably gone up since then because that can's probably at least 2 years old now. But I used to give some props to Model Master for their paint, and got some good results from it. But here lately, the last couple of cans I've tried have been pretty bad, and also the nozzles are useless. they're about maybe 1 in 4 actually works well and doesn't clog or doesn't have a crappy spray pattern. And this particular can is probably the last one I had that actually worked at all. And I bought another color subsequently, and it doesn't even spray. It just spatters. So I do not recommend you buy any Testors paints anymore. I think they're all terrible. Not worth it. I've had so many disasters with Model Master paint here lately that I only have one recommendation for these. So that pretty much leaves us with good old Tamia or Tamia. I don't even know what the correct pronunciation is, but this is the other choice in model car paint, and it is vastly superior to anything that Testors has ever even dreamed of making. And I've been using these lately, biting my tongue on the price I have to pay for this stuff, because I mean, you're talking about $10 to $12 for one of these little, you know, tiny cans. But if you want good results, this is what you need to use if you're going to use model specific paint. Now that gold that I have there, that I just painted a car with, which you'll see in the next video, is an interesting case study, because the first coat that I put on, I had what looked to be some fisheye type problems in the paint, and I was like, oh boy, now what am I going to have to do? Figure I'm going to have to sand it and prime it and paint it again, and hopefully it doesn't come back. But on a whim, I applied a second coat, and wound up doing 3 light coats overall, and the problems disappeared. The Tamia paint fixed itself, so that was nice. The only problem with these is, you know, they do come out as kind of a flat paint. They're designed to be a 2-stage paint, just like a real car, and so you have to also buy the clear coat to go with it, because if you don't put the clear over a lot of these colors, it's not going to have any kind of real good shine to it at all. So that may double the expense, and again, you know, 10 to 12 bucks for a little tiny can. So, you know, choose your poison, but you know, quality costs money. And in the category of quality costs money is primer. I never used to prime my model kits when I was a kid. I used to just spray the color on, multiple coats until you had coverage. But nowadays I do use primer on all the bodies, and mostly prime everything now because it makes painting some of the other things even by hand much easier. And my hobby shop guy recommended the Tamia white primer to me when I had a complaint about trying to cover, dark colors with some of these paints. Putting a light color over a dark primer, which is what I had been doing, and having it wanting to kind of bleed through or requiring too many coats to get any kind of good coverage. So he recommended this fine surface primer from Tamia, and it is a very, very good product. I'm not sorry at all that I bought that. However, I've also discovered that Rust-Oleum makes a flat white primer in their line, in this 2X line, and it's not maybe quite as good as the Tamia stuff as far as, surface that you get when you're done spraying it. It might be a little bit more coarse, but this is a great value. You can buy these Rust-Oleum cans for, about the same price, but you get twice as much material. So I'm very pleased with this, and recommend everybody give this a shot. If you're having trouble getting those, light colors to cover gray primer or molded plastic, that's the way to go. The white primer really is a good solution. I still use gray primer for, painting cars that are really dark colors because then it doesn't matter. But that white primer is the cat's meow right there. And then I also have been buying this semi-gloss black color to do a lot of the underhood items and suspension parts and things that aren't supposed to be glossy and aren't really supposed to be flat black. And this winds up giving a pretty nice finish and looks the part. And again, you can buy these at any hardware store or Lowe's or Home Depot for not a lot of money compared to these hobby paints, which are grossly overpriced. But if you want certain colors, that's kind of your only solution. Some other options, of course, would be buying automotive touch-up paint like Duplicolor if you're trying to get a specific color. And you can use those on model kits as long as you use a primer first. If you use any of these Rust-Oleum type primers, you can paint right over those with the automotive touch-up paints, and it should not damage your plastic. You can put I think you can put a lacquer over a enamel primer, but you can't go the other way. I think it's how it works. So you can do that. And then there's, of course, you can always do airbrushing. And I've done airbrushing, but honestly, I find it to be a giant hassle and just a labor-intensive nightmare to clean up. And I really have not gotten superior finishes in doing the model kits that I've done. But then again, I'm not doing contest level stuff either. I'm just doing this as a hobby for myself, and as long as it looks good sitting in the display case, I'm happy with it. So hopefully this gives you some different options on paints, and maybe even saves you a little bit of money over the long term. Hopefully that was helpful. Stay tuned for more model car builds. We have the Mustang Fastback from AMT Round 2 coming up, and you'll see that appear in the next couple of weeks. Thanks for watching.